Hey guys, welcome to the Hollaby Homestead. I'm Robin and this is Dave. We are the Hollaby Homestead here in eastern Ontario. Got a few acres. Okay, don't engage, don't play with her because then she'll just keep walking in front of the camera.
Our dog, sorry about the dog. We've got egg-laying chickens right now, which we'd want, which are great for our eggs, but we eventually want to get like cows. But we haven't got the infrastructure yet to do it all, so we're slowly figuring out where we wanna go, where we want our pens, and what animals we want, and just taking it slow.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't mean this in a criticizing way, but I see a lot of homesteads like running out and, getting goats and horses and all this stuff. And then, a few months down the road, it's like, wow, there was a lot of financial loss in that for no real gain. Sorry, the dog. We're just we're trying to clean up our debts and remain without
debt-free.
Yeah, without gathering more debt. So, for us, it took us a year to get chickens, but, I'm glad that we waited a year, because if we didn't wait and the first year that we were here, I think it would have been really overwhelming, and I think we would have truly hated the experience. And people think homesteading is, you have a cow for milk and cheese, and you've got chickens for meat and eggs, and I can't think of any other examples, but if you don't specifically have those things, then it doesn't mean that you're actually homesteading. Well,
we eventually want to get all those things.
Well, I think it's about being mindful about what really matters to us too, because I think nobody will ever be like 100,000% self-efficient anymore, because the amount of money and time it takes to do things, you just have to think, is it worth it? If you're not really into eating eggs every day, is it worth having eggs? You have to kind of pick and choose your battles here. I'm lactose intolerant, so, cheese and milk don't really agree with me. He likes cheese and milk, but...
Oh, I love cheese and milk.
But, I just think, if we're going to be getting a gallon of milk a day from a cow, is it really worth it? And, I would prefer cows for the meat aspect of them personally, but, that's just me. But, and then even, there's things in the garden that, I could be growing garlic, but, is it worth it? Is it worth the effort when I can just, for the little amount of garlic that I use each year, I can just go to the neighbor and buy her garlic because she's got a big garlic operation, or go to the grocery store and get a couple of bulbs. I'm trying to be mindful about what
we basically
picking and choosing about self-efficiency, because I think people get lost in this whole I could have a solar panel and I could have a garden and then I could have everything that I ever wanted, and that's not really practical and it's not doable.
No. It would be nice.
It would be nice,
but it's not maybe it's a 20-year goal, but it's not likely gonna happen with the solar.
Well, yeah, with the solar for us, we have an old Victorian home. It's big, and we also have an electric heat pump or heat exchanger. What do you? Is it a heat pump or a heat exchanger?
Pump.
Okay,
Yeah.
So because that's electric, we also have a propane furnace as well. But because that's electric, that's a draw.
Most of our heating in the.
And yeah, in the summertime, it's great with solar because you have all the sun. But then in the wintertime, you're gonna have losses on a lot of days, and unless you have a backup or you're still hooked into the grid, is it really worth spending? I don't know. I think we'd probably need a $40,000 solar panel setup to run the house, to run everything that we need to run. So, is it worth it? Probably not.
No.
I mean, do we use that much power in the summertime? No, because the windows are open, the heat's not on. You know, we're cooking, whatever, but like...
We're outside most of the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so like, it's not like solar would be really practical. I mean, if solar's your only option, like, knock yourself out, go for it. But, you know, to me, being self-efficient, I still feel like I can be self-efficient even though I'm attached to the grid. Now, we do have a generator because of our tornado disasters that we had.
And
we learned.
The power goes out quite frequently.
Yeah, like where...
Being right in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, where we are, the power goes out. Nobody's coming out here for a few days to figure out if we actually have power or not. So we do have to have a generator, which means we have to buy fuel. But, you know, that's just the way life is sometimes. But, you know, back to the whole gardening thing. So I don't like to grow... I like to focus on, like, certain things that we like.
We grow basically everything that we like to eat.
Yeah, there's no point in growing anything that you don't like.
We try things. We try, like, 2 or 3 different things that we haven't really eaten before.
We tried eggplant this year.
Yeah. And different things. Like, we try something new every year, but then we figure out that, like, sometimes we like it, and sometimes we just go back to what we're still growing. Like we eat a lot of tomatoes, like
and cucumbers.
We
live
stuff.
on cucumbers.
I would like to maybe next year grow some potatoes because we do eat a lot of potatoes, but we haven't really grown much potatoes.
Next year I want to try potatoes, onions. I never have luck with onions, but I want to make a real effort for onions because we do go through a lot of onions.
Yeah.
And strawberries. Everybody grew strawberries this year, and I'm like, crap, that's the one thing I forgot that I wanted to try.
I love strawberries, so...
And we are in the land of wild raspberry bushes, by the way, so no, we're not going to buy raspberry bushes. We are good.
We've already got about 30 of them around.
These are raspberry bushes that self-planted themselves in our bathtub because I planted hostas in this bathtub, like, to make it look pretty and stuff. The hostas died, and then all these raspberry plants just took over by themselves, and I just left them because we are really big into this permaculture thing. Like, we do not want to strip the land or try to manipulate things to be absolutely perfect in the way that, you know, they should be for us. Like, you know, some people would say, oh, that's really ugly that you got raspberry bushes in the bathtub. Well, whatever. I got raspberries that come off of them, so is it really that ugly? They're functional. They put themselves there.
Really good.
Well, they put themselves there. It's not like I went to the effort and the time to put them in there, so, you know, just kind of let things be at the same time. But then the things that you do want to change, we want to kind of do it slowly, like the fencing for our animals.
Well, that's our thing that we're hoping to do next year, which is a big thing, but we didn't want to put, like, we bought the fencing, we've got all the fencing.
We got rolls, we got
that the first year we came in, but we kind of looked and then we couldn't decide between the both of us where we wanted the animals to be.
I think we got 1,200 feet of fencing.
So
I think, or more. I think maybe
I think it's about 12 or 15.
12 or 1,500 feet of fencing, and it's just been sitting there because we can't decide where we're gonna put stuff.
We couldn't decide, but like we each had our own ideas. But now we've sat back and we've looked at the land and we've cleared a little bit and moved stuff around. We've kind of both agreed, we talk all the time about what we want to do with the place, and it just came up in conversation that we both said the one day that we wanted to put a fence pen over by the barn for the winter time so it's nice and close.
Well,
and we both agreed on that, so that's likely gonna be.
But that's not even something we discussed before. We thought about putting fencing in other places, and I'm glad that we waited, and I'm sure so this is our third year, our third summer here.
Yeah.
So going into our third winter. So, you know, I get caught up sometimes in watching like Justin Rhodes and other people YouTubes, and and I see how many animals they got and how far along they've gotten and all this stuff. But like, for us, homesteading is this. It's the journey. It's not like, oh, look at our cows and look at our chickens and look at everything we got. I think homesteading, to me anyway, and to us, is like the journey to get there. Our biggest kind of stumbling block is that this place was like abandoned when we bought it, and it was all overgrown and it was terrible.
Yeah.
And the house needed a lot of work, and so the biggest battle for the last 3 years has just been like reclaiming the space. Like this place hasn't been a farm for 50, 60 years.
Yeah, I think that.
Like, so, that's the biggest thing. And, and actually I'll admit to you, this in the springtime, we were going to rush into buying a cow and bring a cow home. And in hindsight, so what happened was we had this plan for the cow for meat.
Yes.
And, well, it was a steer. I mean, let's get technical here. So we had these plans, and then the tornado hit, and it felt like everything fell apart, and we had to rethink everything because the trees came down where we were going to put up the fencing and where we were going to keep this cow. And I mean, practical wise, we didn't really have an area for the cow. At the time, I was really sad that we didn't get the cow, but now I'm really glad that we didn't, because we weren't ready, and it just would have been a ridiculous undertaking, because I don't like to rush last minute to get everything ready just to hold an animal.
No, because we didn't really do that with the chickens, but I hadn't quite got the coop ready for when we got our first chicks come in, and that was just a rush. Well, it turned out basically I built a coop that I just rushed into, didn't think about it, and then about a few months later I had to build another one because it wasn't what we wanted. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't good enough, so, and that's why we're using the one that we have now, which is better.
Yeah.
I should have, if I had a little bit more time and thought about it a little bit more, we could have just built one. But everyone makes little bit mistakes. Like you learn by that. Like you can't just.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm glad we didn't rush into like everything, and that like to us, I think homesteading is as much the journey as to like what your goals and what you're aiming towards. I mean, we've already made a huge difference in how much food we're growing each year and how much we're preserving. We've made our house very slowly a little bit more and more livable and a little bit nicer. We did the barn extension recently, and that was kind of a last minute decision, but we needed it done anyways.
Yeah, it was winter's coming, and I was fed up with the side-by-side sitting outside in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And so
And a couple of years ago, we got the greenhouse thrown up. Like, it's like each year we kind of pick one big project, but,
we're trying to stay, we're pretty well debt free, so we're trying to just do everything without going into debt. Like we could literally go and do everything in one summer, but then
it's so easy to like get caught up in the fantasy of like, let's bring home some sheep and some cows and some horses, and it's just so easy. You watch other YouTubers, like big YouTubers, and they have these beautiful, well manicured farms that, have taken years, obviously, to build up and make what it is. But, rushing into things is really scary, and really, like, I just don't want to be in a situation where I feel like I've unintentionally, neglected or hurt an animal when that situation could have been avoided if I didn't rush into it. Like, especially with bigger animals. Like, I mean, chickens are pretty easy. Like, chickens are the starting thing. But like, I just don't want to get caught up in rushing into sometimes we're getting there. It just feels like sometimes I feel like we're going a bit slow, but we have, when we look back on the videos, this is why we made our YouTube channel, so that we can look back and actually see the progress and what we've done. And actually, when I have looked back, I'm like, wow, like I can't believe where we started, you know.
Yeah, we've done quite a bit over the years, and the 3 years that it's 3 years that we've been here, we've done quite a lot of big projects.
So another thing that we try to do in a permaculture sense / homesteading sense is that we try to do things seasonally. So the garden for us is a summertime activity. Obviously, we're not really into big fall planting or anything like that, because generally I'm pretty worn out by
the end of the summer.
Yeah, spring is like seedling time, greenhouse time. Winter is our rest. But in March we for the last, well, it'll be our third year this year doing maple syrup, right?
Maple syrup, yeah.
So in March, and it usually happens around March break, which works for me, we tap trees all by hand and we do maple syrup. And we don't make enough to sell, or
no, but it's for our own use, and
it's for our own use, and we gift it a lot,
and it makes a lot of gifts, and it saves us a little bit of money than buying it, because real maple syrup is pretty expensive.
Not that we're crazy about maple syrup. Like I feel like we do that as more of a fun thing than
fun, and like
it is a lot of work though. Each year we add more and more taps, and then I regret my decision.
But this last year we made a lot of syrup.
Yeah.
Like we doubled, well, I'd say almost tripled what we made the first year. The first year was kind of a little bit of how to do it, learning curve, and then the second year, actually.
I'd say for the time it takes to do maple syrup, and this is just a warning if one of you guys are thinking about doing maple syrup, it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of time that you have to be available for in the moment. It's not like you can be like, oh, I'll do this on the weekend, or I'll do this next week, or
you can delay it like a day or two. Like we were able to save a couple of buckets, so like we're not just boiling down like one of our buckets.
So you have about a week with the sap, and as long as there's snow on the ground, which sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't, but as long as there's snow on the ground and you put the buckets in the snow, you have, and I would say a week is a bit too much. I'd say 5 days before it'll start going rancid.
4 to 5
You'll
days.
know if it's rancid, but it's hard to choose when to start, and it's hard to choose when to end, because sometimes it can stop for a couple of days and then it'll go on for another week, and other times, like, it's a lot of effort for what it is, and I think we just enjoy doing it. And I mean, obviously we like maple syrup, or else we wouldn't do it at all. I think we just enjoy doing it, but it's one of those things that I don't ever not want to do it, but is it worth it for the time and the... No.
Probably not. I spend a lot of time up, because I'm usually the one that, well, this last year I did most of the boiling down. The first year Robin did it, but I'm
kind of the collector person, and he's the boil, and then I'll do the fine boiling at the end.
Yeah, so once I've done the slug of the boiling down, I'll take it inside, and Robin will do the final up the temperature.
Yeah, because you do have to be very like precise about it, but I don't know, like that's.
I spent 4 days boiling down syrup last year.
Yeah, like depending on where you're wanting to homestead, you got to really think about what your options are, what you can do. Like I know down in the southern states, I'm pretty sure they're tapping trees. I might be wrong about this, but I think they're tapping trees in the fall.
Yeah.
I think they get to tap in the fall and the spring, or maybe it's just the fall. Maybe somebody can correct me on that. But like depending on if you're not homesteading yet, I think you need to really think about your options. When we moved here, we didn't think that we'd be into maple syrup. It was just like, oh, let's try it one year.
Yeah, we seen someone doing it. Like a lot of people do it around this area,
Yeah, this is the ground zero for maple syrup, by the way.
and so we seen buckets, and we were like, oh, yeah, let's try that. We have quite a few maple trees, which we're lucky for that.
Yeah, we lost a few in the tornado though, so
Yeah,
we got to go looking extra hard this year to find some of the trees we're going to use next spring. But yeah, homesteading is like working off the land with what you got. I mean, sometimes I dream about having a wheat field or something so I can make my own flour, but then at the same time, it's like, is that worth it? No.
probably not.
No. Like, if you're not into maple syrup, is it worth tapping? No. The time of year it happens is like when you first start feeling like spring is here because the snow is melting off.
Yeah, and it's just a nice, like, it gets you going for the after the winter. It
Yeah.
just gets you up, and
It usually happens like when you start it, there's a lot of snow, and then by the end of it, the snow's almost gone.
that's almost gone.
Yeah, like so. But and then some years are good, some years are bad. But we're not in it for the money. That's something we just enjoy. That's a bushcraft thing that we just enjoy.
We enjoy doing it for ourselves, and we keep some for ourselves, but we do gift a lot.
Yeah, we do gift a lot.
Because it makes a great gift, and it's just
Yeah.
something different. Like,
We don't even make enough to justify like selling.
no,
People try to buy it off of us.
and
But
we don't bother. We just,
yeah.
well, if you want a jar, here you go.
Yeah. Homesteading is the journey as much as it is the end goal of self-sufficiency, and like it's easy to lose sight of, like I want this, I want this, I want this, so I can do this. Well, what about the pride it took and of all the effort it took to get to that point, and all the time and the things you learned along the way.
Well, the other thing about homesteading is that we're basically doing everything ourselves.
Yeah.
So, like, and that's another part of homesteading, that, like, instead of getting someone in to, like, build a barn, because I've got construction background and things, and so we're able to actually do our own barn extension. And with the fencing, like, I was working with a fencing contractor in the summertime to learn how to do my own fencing, because I had no idea. And so now, this coming summer, I'm hoping to put up
We're ready to fence.
we're gonna put our own fencing up, which
Yeah.
is,
At least we're doing it ourselves.
we're doing it ourselves, which is, it's great to look back at all the things that we've done, and we can say that we've done that.
Yeah, and homesteading too, is to us as well. And I think a lot of people maybe forget about this aspect of it. It's a lifestyle. Like, not that we lived in a big city before, but we lived in a small town, but like near the main street. And like, when I think about how busy we are now, I don't know what the heck we did with ourselves when we lived in town. Like, what did we do? Sit around and watch TV? I don't even think we did that. I don't know what we did. I think we just left and, hung out in other places. Yeah, like, it's homesteading to us is a massive lifestyle change. I mean, we love every moment, but it's like people are like, oh, you want to come hang out? You want to, come here for the weekend? And it's like, we don't have time. we don't
like spending time at home.
Yeah.
Because we're always doing something.
Yeah.
Between, like, looking after the chickens, clearing something, or building something, or I like to spend a lot of time with my dog outside.
We are in the middle of nowhere. So we are 20 minutes to a town where there is a food land. A food land is very overpriced. Yeah. We are about 25 minutes to another town, to a Value Mart. And their prices are better, but they're not much better.
And then we're like,
and their selection sucks. Like, small town grocery shopping sucks. And then we're an hour to a Walmart. And like, so everything that we need has to be like planned out accordingly.
Yeah, or it wastes a day.
Or
Like,
waste. Well, I mean, it still wastes a day, but like, you know, you got to kind of plan out everything, which is something we're not used to, because where we lived before, we could walk and be 2 minutes to the grocery store.
could walk to the grocery
Yeah.
store. If we forgot something when we were cooking dinner, we could just say, "Oh, I'll just run over and."
Yeah, you could leave the stove on and run over there and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so, you know, that's it's a lifestyle change. Like, I think a lot of our friends who aren't into this sort of lifestyle probably think we're a little weird that we just hang out in the woods all the time. But I mean, that's just what we like to do. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.